create this, and you can already customize your application, your website, or for different clients, whatever it is that you need. Very simple to do. Next one is called persistent queries. What is persistent queries? It's REST plus GraphQL. Only predefined data is exposed under its own URL, and it is cacheable. So this is the magic that makes the plugin better than either this or that. Why do you need to have REST or GraphQL? You can have both. So how do we create a new persistent query? We click on the Add New GraphQL persistent query button. And you can see we declared a name, in this case it's called post list, and we have a graphical client embedded right within the WordPress editor. So once again, we only need to click on the fields on the left on the Explorer to compose the query. In this case, we are creating a query with posts and a limit of 5, and the offset passed as a variable. We'll see later on why we are passing the offset with a variable. And let's add some fields. The author has the ID, the name, the URL. We also want to add comments with content, date, which we can format in a specific format that we define on the query. We want the ID, we want the date. Oh, we are now on the post again. We want the date, the excerpt, the feature image we will fetch with the ID and the source. We want the title, the URL, also the tags, and for the tags we want the name. We click on run and we see the results here. All of them, here they are. Now we click on publish, and when we click on publish, we have a new persistent query which has its own URL. You can check it out there, and we got all the results. And you remember the offset variable. It's a variable that we can customize through a parameter in the URL. In this case, by doing offset equals 5, we are executing the query with that number for the offset. So this is wonderful because we have a GraphQL query that is exposed under its own URL, and it can be dynamic. You can customize it with URL parameters as much as you need. The next one, access control list. Define who can access the field, either logged in user with some role or capability, or you can also create your custom rules. In this case, we care about security. So you have a GraphQL service, and you don't want to leave anyone or everyone access. You want to have rules. You want to define who can access this. So this is what the access control list is for. The idea here, you can define field by field by field who can access it. In this case, we're going to create a new access control list called personal user data, and we select the fields. We search for the user, and we select the email and the capabilities. Now we are going to determine who can access these fields. We select user state, only the logged in users. Now we publish the access control list. To make it, to have the GraphQL query and the endpoints work with this, we have to input that into a schema configuration. A schema configuration is basically the way to create a schema, a particular schema, a sub-schema with only a limited set of data. In this case, we have a schema configuration called website config, and we just added the access control list. Now we go to our endpoint, and we have an endpoint called website, which has already this schema configuration. We visualize the endpoint, and now we visualize the client, the graphical client. So if you remember, the email field was, you had to be logged in. I was logged in the previous screen. Now I open a new browser window where I'm not logged in. This is a private window, and I composed the same query as before, users, name, and email. I run it, and now it says you must be logged in to access field email. So that was because I said only logged in users can access it. If you're not logged in, you cannot access it. Next one, public private schema. So what happens when the authorization fails? Should we tell the user why it failed, which is the public mode, or should we deny the existence of the field, which is the private mode? So before we saw how it failed the validation, we said email, you cannot access the email. Let's do the same. Now we have a validation for user roles. Who can access this field? Anyone with these capabilities, edit users, or manage options, or anyone with this role, in this case, the administrator. And we will make it public, okay? We update this access control list. Now we execute the query. I am an admin here, so there is no error. It doesn't say that I cannot access the field, but we open a new browser window where it's private, and when I execute now, it says you must be logged in to access the field roles. We just gave it this permission. And now we will also check the schema. The information is public. It's telling you this field exists. You just cannot access it because you're not logged in. We can see the user role is there. But what happens if we change this? Instead of public, we make it private. We update it. So when we execute the same query, we go back to the client. Now the error message is different. There's no field resolver results field roles. And when we go to the schema and we visualize the schema, there's no field anymore. And the entity user roles have disappeared as a consequence. So it is not only that you cannot query for the field does not exist for you. So this is very useful if you want to provide access to your logged in users and access to your logged out users, and they can see different information. Or maybe you want to provide access to your own team and access to your client, and they see different information. Cache control list. We can cache on the server, CDN, or browser via standard HTTP caching. The max H is calculated for you. If you remember, I said before that it's difficult to cache GraphQL because it has a single endpoint operated via post. But that is not the case with the persistent queries. Persistent queries are accessed through a URL. That means that we can cache the access to this URL as much as with REST. The idea here is we're going to say field by field by field, which is the max age, and then we can calculate automatically which is the max age for the request based on all the fields in the query. In this case, we select the URL and we say 60 seconds. We select the title for the post and we select 35 seconds. And we will add one more, the name for the user, and we will say it has 22 seconds. We're going to publish this cache control list. Once we have published this, we need to make sure that our schema configuration has this configuration. So we added the website config in this case. We go to cache control list. And now we have the new one that we have created, website CCL. We update the schema configuration. And we go back to our persistent query. We have a persistent query here, which has already that schema configuration. And we execute the persistent query. In this case, it's only fetching the ID, nothing much to see. We're going to analyze the result that we get from the client, which is from the server, sorry, which is the response. What is the max age that we got back? So we update it. We first select the URL from the user. If you remember, we have said that that one has 60 seconds of max age. So we visualize the response as max age equals 60. Now we add the tile for the post. If you remember, this one has 35 seconds. So we go back to our persistent query, we refresh it, and we check which is the response. And it says cache control max age 35. And then we added one more, which was the name for the users. If you remember, this one had 22 seconds. So now we refresh the persistent query and we see which is the max age. And we got 22 seconds. Perfect. But finally, what happens if we select a field with user state? Me. Me depends on the logged in user. You cannot cache that. So now we refresh the query, and what we got is cache control no store. So the server, the GraphQL server, is intelligent enough to know if it can be cached or not. If it can be cached, it caches it. And it's based on the configuration that you provide to your API. We can deprecate fields. You can inform your user that your schema has been upgraded in the response to the query. We have an API hierarchy. You can create a hierarchy of endpoints providing information in their URL. I have no time to show these videos. If you want to see them, please come to these slides and click on the URL below. Are you enjoying it so far? I hope you are, but there is much more. Interaction with third-party APIs, multiple query execution, schema namespacing, avoid conflicts with that, nested mutations, embeddable fields, composable directives. There is a lot of power here. So, how do they compare? Speed, security, caching, access control, simplicity, and who can use it? GraphQL API makes everything easy. It's very fast because you can cache it. It's very secure because you can set up access control lists on field by field basis. You can cache, as I said before. Access control is simple and anyone can use it. If you search it now, you do click, 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 publish. You have a new endpoint. You don't have that usability when you have to use code, when you have to go into PHP and develop a plugin. But here, everything you do is through a user interface. So, through the GraphQL API for WordPress, what can we do? There are many things we can. You can power your Gutenberg blogs. If you're creative for Gutenberg, you can embed your GraphQL API to fetch data for you. You can interact with APIs and with cloud services. So as much as you're fetching data for yourself from WordPress, from from WordPress itself, you can interact with any cloud-based service. You want to do Google Translate, you want to interact with Dropbox, you want to interact with Facebook or send a tweet. All of these things you can do. Basically, you're making a website that is at the center of the web. This makes WordPress become the operating system of the web, because now you can interact with everyone and with everything. From the client, you have React, you have Gatsby, you have a mobile app, you have you, to the cloud services, to anything that you might need to use. This is your gateway. It's an interface of information. So check it out. The URL is graphqlapi.com. Please help spread the news. If you like what you have seen, give it a star on GitHub, share with your friends and colleagues, and please talk about it. This is open source. It's not a commercial project, so this depends on word of mouth. Hopefully, if you like it, you will use it, and you will tell your friends to check it out too. One parting thought. GraphQL for everybody. Thanks. My name is Leonardo Losovis. My Twitter handle is Losovis. These slides are available on slides.com/leoloso/GraphQL-API4WP. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation. Thank you very much. Here we are.
Hey there, my name's Brian Krogsgaard from Post Status. If you're having a great time today, you're going to have an awesome time in the Post Status Club year-round. Go to poststatus.com/club to check out all the amazing features and resources and join our community with hundreds of other WordPress professionals. Plus, we'll send you the best insights in the ecosystem every single week, plus a lot more. All you got to do is go to poststatus.com/club to check it out. Have a good one.
Hello, Leonardo.
Hello, Wendy. Yes.
That was so interesting and going so fast for my not so technical brain. So you created a website a couple of days ago where we can find all the information. And in your one of your last slides, you said this is for everybody. Okay, could you just explain to me, a not so technical developer, what I could do with this, with the plugin you created?
Who is it?
Because it looks like, to me, it looked like this. You can do everything with this, connect everything to everything, and it works. Click, 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 done. And that sounds like the thing I need.
So who is it you? Are you a developer? Are you a blogger? Are you a marketer?
No, I create websites for customers. So I am a website creator. I do some PHP and a lot of CSS. So
okay, that's good. So are you able to work with endpoints with the REST API, for instance?
Yeah, I do a little bit of that, but mostly
have you ever...
I do mostly copy paste, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, what I have tried to do is to use the WordPress interface to create endpoints. So when you use the WordPress REST API, you use PHP code. So you do copy pasting, copy pasting, copy pasting, and eventually you have an endpoint. And I wanted to do the same without using PHP code. That you click, 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 and you publish.
Copy paste, copy paste.
Yeah, actually, yeah. So it's similar with Gutenberg. Gutenberg now you can create blocks by copy pasting the structure from another side. You have the block patterns. So everything is becoming visual. Everything is used through an interface. So basically, this is adding an interface to create an API.
Wow. Wow. Wow, that makes a lot of sense. And it explains a lot of what you said in the video. So thank you for explaining that. What are your plans going forward with this?
Well, I need to keep working on this. I think the potential of this tool is just limitless. One of the things that this tool has is that this is not just a tool to retrieve data, but it's a way to interact with other services. So what I want to do is to have your WordPress site in the center of the cloud. So you can actually interact with Twitter, with Slack, with, I don't know, with Dropbox, with all of these services that you might use on your daily life. And that once again, it's just a matter of clicking and you have the setup working so that anyone can use it. So this is just the beginning. This looks very powerful, and the potential of the application that you can build, I think it's what I will be working on. And my upcoming task, the one that I will be working on the upcoming weeks, it's on translation. I want to translate the whole post, translating inside the Gutenberg blocks. That you click translate, and it translates everything inside the blocks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I know that I can do it. Actually, I have a prototype already. And I'm very excited because the translation, the multilingual stage will come only in 2022. Matt said that he has to wait for phase 4. So I want to see if I can provide an alternative to be working in maybe a few weeks from now. So we don't need to wait. We don't need to wait for so long to have a multilingual website.
That sounds exciting. So multilingual websites with just using blocks.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds exciting. I don't know if you have read the comments going on. Johnny is especially active. He says, thanks, it was great. Overview definitely inspired me. And then he said, really amazing work on this. The visual builder is amazing. Pretty blown away by this plugin. And then the translation thing, he's going wild and saying that blows my mind. And to be honest, it blows my mind as well. It sounds amazing. So you are the developer on this. Are you working with other people on this, or can everybody just pitch in, or what is the plan?
It's open source. If anyone is interested, they are welcome to join.
That sounds good. Johnny, you hearing this? He is watching and commenting, so maybe he could be interested. Is there something that I can pitch in to do that might be helpful for you in developing this plugin? Like a not very technical copy-paste kind of person?
I don't know. You have to use it and you have to find out what you can do.
Yeah, well, I could be helpful in translating or promoting or something like that. Johnny has a question in the question box. Let me see if I can get it in here. You mentioned potential block editor Gutenberg integration. Could you touch upon how this would work, please? Editor, front end, and rendering.
Yes. So
good question.
Yeah. So the way that I'm actually going to develop this is to execute a directive, a GraphQL directive that transforms all the code inside the blocks. So then, for instance, you have a blog post that is in English and you want to translate that to French. So what I'm actually thinking of doing is you first duplicate the post using one of those tools. I know that Yoast has a tool to duplicate posts.
Yes.
So then you duplicate it, and then there will be a button that I have to create that you press the button and it translates everything to French. It uses Google Translate. So if you check on my website, graphqlapi.com, and you scroll down, there's a graphical client that you can already do something like that through a GraphQL query. So you run the query, and it extracts the metadata inside the Gutenberg blocks, and it translates them. So this, I have it already. My next step is to save the metadata once again into the database. So then basically what I will do is extract metadata, translate, put back. And the translate is just one specific functionality. It can be replaced with anything. It can be like extract, fix grammar, put back. So yeah, basically the idea is that this is like a Swiss Army tool that you can just give it some behavior to how to transform the data. And once again, the idea is that anyone can transform the data, any third-party service. You can give this to Google Translate, you can give this to some SEO service to fix your SEO issues, or copywriting, or anything of the kind.
That sounds amazing. That sounds so cool. I'm just going to check if we have any other questions. Johnny says, I need to look at this. I'm an avid custom theme builder and I have a few ideas. I have a question in the question tab. We already read the question in the question tab. So if people want to reach you, if they have any more questions, or if they want to pitch in and help out, what is the best way they can reach you?
They can send me an email. I'm always checking my email and always replying to the emails. I'm very excited with this project, so anyone who is interested, I just go full on board to help them. If anyone has any inquiry how to make it work, I just go for it. My email is leo, like my name, at getpop.org. But in any case, on the website, graphqlapi.com, there's also a contact form at the very bottom. It says, please contact us. If you fill that form, then I will get the email too. And on Twitter, my handle is my surname, at Losovis.
Losovis.
Yes.
And I will paste the contact form in the chat so people know where to contact you.
Yes. I
This
need to
has
say,
been amazing.
I'm sorry with the awful sound. I bought a headphone for this occasion. It was Sony. I regret this. I regret it so much. I'm ashamed. I'm so sorry to everyone.
No, don't worry about it. It was a little quirky, but it was understandable, and I think I had no problem hearing it. So I think most people could hear it just fine.
Yeah, well, I need to apologize.
Your talk was very, very interesting, and it was very inspiring. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Wendy.
And I would also like to thank our sponsors on the global stage, Fused and GoDaddy Pro, our continent sponsors, PostStatus and Elementor, our subcontinent sponsor, 20i, Yoast, and our multilingual partner, Weglot. Please be sure to visit their tents and chat with them. You might even win some prizes. Also, thank you to our media partners and our micro sponsors. You all make our big orange hearts full. Next up is going to be on main stage and on a different stage, because this is the last talk on the Europe, Africa, Mid-Eastern stage for GoDaddy, and we'll see you later. Thank you so much, Leonardo.
Thank you, Wendy.
See you next time. Bye.
This year has already been long enough. 2021, that is. Let's not even get started about 2020. You've got enough to worry about with your business. Worry about one less thing this year. Your website hosting. Fused.com offers great support, performance, and uptime. Really, give them a try today.
Hello, I'm Adam from GoDaddy Pro. We're thrilled to be a global sponsor of WordFest Live. It's a 24-hour worldwide celebration bringing the entire community together for an epic virtual event. The GoDaddy Pro team will be on hand to answer your questions on topics ranging from security to content strategy to everything WordPress. Keep following us to learn more about what they have in store. Plus, we'll be spinning the wheel and giving out prizes. It all happens on Friday, January 22nd